Hi, my name is Grimly. This is my ultimate anti-clap support rotation. This includes Locust, Guardian, and Demon Armor. The three foundational clap defense abilities. As long as we have Locust, Guardian, and Demon Armor, we can defend against any clap engage in the game. I'm excluding Oathkeeper E, Rootbound, and Duty Armor, and I'll explain why. Oathkeeper E and Rootbound can both get purged instantly by Life Curse. Duty Armor is inconsistent because it only places down where the player is standing. Demon Armor, you can open it and move to the engage. And Demon Armor gives more defense and it reflects. And when using Demon Armor, you cannot be knocked back by any force movement effect or pulled in by any comping effect. So Demon Armor is superior. Now, first thing, we have Locust, which will cleanse the debuffs I have on screen. Locust does not cleanse Damnation and Spirit Hunter, because those are considered dot effects. However, Locust also gives a large amount of resistances. Guard Rune will give a medium amount of resistances, and it will make it so that 5 people inside the Guard Rune cannot be clumped, pulled, knocked back, knocked up. This is going to allow those players, if they have Cleric Cowl, to use Cleric Cowl, or it's just going to allow them to survive the engage with the defense. And then Demon Armor is the biggest resistance buff in the game, and it will reflect damage. There's been a lot of times where I myself have personally killed spiked gauntlet players with my Demon Armor. So Demon Armor is very, very powerful when used correctly. So first thing I want to talk about is disengage and anti-counter timing. So it's very common in ZVZ that when we engage the enemy will counter-engage. And a good Zerg will counter-engage very fast. This means we need to prepare our defenses for the counter, otherwise it can be too late, since when we engage, our DPS and tanks are clumping up to secure the engage, which gives the enemy a very easy opportunity to counter if they're quick. So we're going to drop our defensives on 1 from our engage. That's from the countdown from our caller when they call engage in 3, 2, 1. On 1, we're dropping all these defenses. We're dropping a Locust at the front. This is the cleanse. And it's also going to cleanse any D-tank setup. So if the D-tanks are going to jump in and stop us from returning after our engage or spreading after our engage, the Locust is going to cleanse that. Even if they don't engage, this is going to allow us to spread fast. We're going to drop 1 or 2 Guard Runes, depending on how many Oathkeepers we have in total. And these are going to be around the same area as the Locust. And that's going to make it so they can't clump the people at the front. Then we're also going to drop at the same time 1 to 2 Demon Armors with Gig every time. Now they're going to play Guardian Boots so they can have Gig every time. And this is the longest duration, and it's the big resistance buff. For simplicity, let's call this Disengage Demon 3, and then we'll call it 3-1 and 3-2 for first and second engage, and I've got some examples. So here, let's watch this example. Tell me when you Locust Mila. So we're playing in a castle. The choke is the gate on the northeast. The enemy is majority outside the choke, and some inside the choke. So we're going for an engage on the people inside the choke here. We use a fake engage. Now it's 1. We're about to hit them. And at this time is when we need a Locust in the choke and 2 Guardians. Now I can see we've got silence on us from the Beatles, but I just want to show this clip for an example of the timing.
On the choke.
I'm gonna demon.
Luego sí, luego sí.
So you can see we lost people on the choke, and that's because the timing was wrong. And let's look at
Tell me when you Locust.
some screenshots. So we've got 7 was when the caller said 1, 7 seconds into the VOD. And this is when we would place 2 Guardians, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, a Locust in the middle, and we would have at least 1 offensive demon, disengaged demon, sorry, stepping up for the engage. And then 3 seconds later was when they countered. The Guard Runes, the Locust, and the Demon Armor would all still be up, defending the choke, and no one would die to this engage. The enemy would not even be able to make the clump. Okay, let's watch another example.
Yo, look, everyone shallow northeast, okay? Everyone shallow northeast. And 3, 2,
I'll drop here.
I'll drop here. Come back quick.
This Locust, by the way, is an enemy's Locust, but it should be an ally's Locust based on the timing.
Resetting.
Give me defenses.
And we lost people in the choke. So let's look at the screenshots.
Everyone shallow northeast.
4 seconds into the VOD was when 1 was called for our engage, and we should have had a demon opened off to the side, ready to step in, a locust just in front of the caller, and a guardian just in front of the caller. And then 3 seconds later, same as the last clip, after 3 seconds enemy counter, the defenses would have saved the entire engage. However, what happened in the clip was the defenses were too slow. The defensives waited for the enemy instead of dropping the defensives preemptively for disengage. So what if the enemy don't counter engage immediately? That's why we have reactive defensives. This will also defend if the enemy engages first and we counter them. So reactive defensives are looking for indicators that the enemy will engage. This could be stalker shoes, the Hodge sprinting in, an air compress, a golem going big. Multiple things are indicators that the enemy will engage. So we're going to drop demon every time, guardian every time, and sometimes we'll drop a locust. I'll explain that soon. And we don't want to wait for the comp to be made. We want to drop it as soon as we know for sure they're going to engage. Demon is the most important defense because demon you can pop immediately. There's no cast time. Guardian there's a cast time. And demon gives defense to more players than guardian. And it gives more resistances. And it's going to help soak the initial amount of damage so that other demons can add on to that if they're late. Locust W needs to be used to cleanse the CC to allow demon. That's why most of the Locust players are going to play defensive demon. The Guardian focused Oath player who's going to drop an anti-clap reactive Guardian is going to play Judy and Merkshoes. I'll explain a little bit about that later when I talk about Guardian rotation. And for the demons, we're going to call it Demon 1 and Demon 2. Demon 1 is our primary demon. Those demons are always going to position towards the front line. And these demons are usually for the enemy's first engage. So it doesn't matter if the first engage from the enemy is just one party or a full engage. That's their first engage and Demon 1 is going to use. Now Demon 2 is our secondary demon. This is going to be for the enemy's full engage. And it's usually after their first engage because most Zergs will use one party engage to bait defensives and then they'll use a full engage. However, in situations where we can see a lot of enemies approaching, we might assume or even know that they're going to use their full engage just based on the movement of the enemy. And if that happens, then it's appropriate for us to use Demon 1 and Demon 2 because we need as many demons as we can when they full engage us with multiple parties of DPS. If the enemy have a bomb squad or solo clappers, against those engages, any nearby demon should open demon. This is because we're not going to, naturally, we're going to be a little spread. So if the bomb squad hits, if they're going to hit a huge clump, then we're going to need multiple demons on that. But if they're just going to hit a small clump on the side, then we should have at least one demon close enough to open. Same thing about a solo clapper. And if that happens, where demons you have to use against bombs or solo clappers, it should just be communicated in TeamSpeak so that Demon 1 can be compensated for and Demon 2 can be compensated for as well. Now we have the Locust rotation. Up the top left to bottom right is going to be the order of importance. So starting with Locust 1 to 3 and then Def Locust 01, 02. So when we're massing, we need to select these locusts in order. The first 3 locusts we select as just Locust 1, Locust 2, Locust 3. That simple. And these locusts are not holding only for defensive. They're not holding only for offensive. I'll explain. So they're going to use it for disengage, like on 1, how we talked about earlier. They're also using it for passing the chokes, so we can move through the choke fast without getting CC'd. And then they can also use it for defensive, but that is a backup, okay? So prioritizing demon is important. Locust is only a backup if your demon's on cooldown and the enemy engage for whatever reason. Could be that you waste demon to their fake engage. Now, we should always communicate Locust drop. And the way it should be called is dropping Locust 1, dropping Locust 2, dropping Locust 3. And when Locust CD is backup, we should call it, but also we should call it when it's about to be backup. So Locust 1 backup in 5 seconds, Locust 1 up now, and then Locust 1 goes back to being our first Locust whenever anything happens. The order of situations is what matters. So if we cross a choke first, Locust 1's going to drop the choke. And then we engage, Locust 2 is going to drop the disengage. And then Locust 3 is ready to do whatever. If we engage again, we got another disengage. If we come back through the choke, we got a choke Locust. Right, so that's the first 3 locusts. Now the fourth locus that we have, or we can have, is going to play an extra defensive locus. And this is only defensive for their full engage or second engage. No, it's going to be for their second engage, alright? Because if they use their full engage first, they're just going to demon, since it's much easier and more consistent for them to play demon 1. Now our second extra locus is going to play offensive for our first engage. And this needs to be early and shallow, because remember we've got our disengage locus on 1. So if we're calling an engage, the call most likely will start from 3, 2, 1. The locus, or even before 3, when the caller is saying get ready to engage, the offensive locus should drop as early as possible to prepare to cleanse enemy detank abilities, mostly silence, okay? So silence pulls, one-hand arcane, stuff like that. Heavy mace E, stuff like that. And these locus are going to play demon 3 for the engage they're not locusing for. So they're going to play locus for offensive first engage and demon for disengage second engage. Then the third extra locus is just going to play O2, which is the same as O1 but reversed. Okay, so they're going to play demon disengage for first engage and locus shallow and early offensive for second engage. And on the top right here, you can see the Q and W from locus. These, most of the time, 95% of the time, need to be self-use. The reason why is because it's much easier to use it on yourself. You'll know if you're silenced. You can see that your abilities are grayed out. You'll know if you're in danger. So you can also self-cast your Q using Alt Q very fast and easy. And this will give you immunity to force movement effects so that you can stay safe. These are going to be good against Brawl. It's going to be good against bomb squads. This is just, and the cleanse is also very important to use if you're silenced and you're trying to demon. What you can do is you can pop your gig pot, you can pop your cleanse on yourself to cleanse the silence, and then you can demon, and you'll get a perfect demon off like that. Now let's talk about the demon rotation. So the Locust are going to be playing demon 1 and 2 so that their W cleanses are spread for our reactive demons, helping us demon even when we're silenced, okay, to cleanse the silence and then demon. The live cuts are always going to play demon 2 so that they can join on our biggest group of demons, which is against the enemy's full engage, and they can get more value from the linking of demons because they don't have guardian boots. And then the Oath are going to play demon 2 or demon 3, okay? This is an example setup when we have 4 Locust, 4 Oath, and 2 Life Curse. Now this doesn't mean 4 total Oath because we're going to have 1 Oath Keeper on duty armor playing defensive guard rune, but this is just our demon armor players, okay? So we will have 3 people playing demon 1, which is all Locusts, and then we'll have 5 on demon 2. Then our offensive / disengage demons are going to play as Oath Keepers, and they're going to drop their E offensive before they open their demon for disengage. When we have more players, we can add extra demon 3. And if we don't have as many players, we can just remove a demon 1 and a demon 2, which might be taking off 1 Locust from demon 1 and taking off 1 Oath from demon 2, okay? The Gig Potion, by the way, so most of the demons, all the Locust and Oath will play Guardian Boots if they're playing demon. The Life Curses won't be. But for the Locust and Oath, the Gig Potion should be the priority. Because Gig Potion gives you immune to force movement effects. Guardian Boots does not. This means that if you pop a Gig Potion, before you open your demon, there's a small delay since there's an internal cooldown between pressing abilities. So if you pop a Gig Potion, in that small delay, you cannot be knocked by anything, you cannot be pulled by anything, which means that it's going to guarantee that you're going to be able to demon as long as you aren't silenced. Now let's talk about Guardian rotation. So as I said earlier, we're going to have 1 Oath play dedicated defensive Guardian. The reason we only need 1 is because they're going to only use their Assassin Hood after their Guardian, and this is going to instantly give back the cooldown from the Guardian, so they can Guardian, Assassin Hood, and then Guardian. If the enemy plays 2 engages, they're dropping a Guardian for each engage, and the Assassin Hood will come back up and it will always be ready for their engages every time. Then we're going to have 2 Oaths play Disengage Guardian, and these are going to be our Demon 2 Oaths, playing Disengage Guardian, and we're going to assign one on the left and on the right, so that the Guardians for Disengage aren't in the same spot. Then the rest of the Oaths are Flexible Guardian. And with these flexible Guardians, it's important they call out when they drop their Guardian so that we can spread them. For example, if someone already calls out their Guardian against the bomb squad, we don't need to drop an extra Guardian, it's a waste. If someone already calls they're going to Guardian the choke, the other Guardian can wait for that Guardian to end and then put it in the choke, or put it in the front of the choke, spreading the Guardians out. And these are going to be our Demon 3 Oath players. Alright, let's look at some examples of the Demon rotation. And I'll also talk about the support rotation. So let's watch this clip.
Kite southwest a little bit. Kite southwest.
So here the enemy haven't engaged yet, and we can see the golem go big. So the golem go big is an indication of their engage, and Demon 1 as a locus is using boots and using demon. Now 3 demons here would be sufficient, and our guard player would also, if able, would drop a guard rune against this engage. So this would be 3 defensive demons and a guard rune. We don't always need a locus here. 3 demons and a guard rune would be enough. So here we don't have a locus, but we have a few demons, 3 demons, and we have, I'm not sure if we have a guard rune.
Demon. I use as well.
But this is just one party engaged from the enemy, so this is only going to be Demon 1, and Demon 2 is going to be holding if they have a second engage.
Kite southwest a little.
Now we have an example of where Demon 1 and Demon 2 need to use together.
We're engaging first.
So we just engage the enemy first.
Ready for the counter, okay?
At this time, we would drop 1 or 2 demons, 2 guard runes, a locus, and we would still have a lot of defenses ready for reacting to their engage. And they don't counter immediately here.
3, 2, 1. I'm demoning.
It takes a little bit of practice, but if you can understand the enemy's movement, and you can also see the air compress here, this is when we will pop defenses. And because there's a lot of enemies inside our Zerg, it's more than likely that they're going to full engage us, not just use one party engage. And it's also difficult to see this engage, so any Demon 2 player that's in a position where they can notice that they're engaging us should open with Demon 1, giving us a bigger defense against their engage. And we should also have a guardian on this, which will be our Judy guardian player.
The counter now, help. Let's go, boys.
Really good
I'm
defense.
running, I'm gonna eat.
Ignore the guardian. I shouldn't be playing guardian there. Actually, I shouldn't be using guardian there. It's retarded. Okay. Another example of Demon 1 and 2 using together in a choke. So here we're just holding the choke. The enemy's stepping up.
Use main engage, I'm demoning.
And here they have a lot of people stepped up. So it's not just 4 or 5 DPS. They have a lot of DPS stepped up. Which means it's going to be a bigger engage than just one party. And this is where we need more than just Demon 1.
Using main engage, I'm demoning.
But we only have 2 demons here, and that's not enough. The second demon wasn't even opened at the right time, and this was a live cast player, which shouldn't have been happening.
Not demon. Demon 1's ready.
These are not examples of what to do. These are just examples of what engages look like and how reactive defensives should be used. This is a typical choke, okay?
Alright, play offensive one.
So we're holding the choke.
Okay, for bomb squad.
First that comes in is a bomb squad engage. Now their bomb squad's shit, but if they were decent, we would have 1 or 2 demons pop that are on that side. However, our demons were
Hold on, K.
a bit late. You can see a demon opened late because they weren't paying attention. But that's fine, alright? And we shouldn't have this locust drop on the bomb squad engage. We should just use any demon that's close, which is going to be enough against the bomb squad. Or we can also use our flex guardians, remember, against the bomb squad. And now we're just holding the choke again.
Okay, I think that was one party. I still have demon ready.
Play slow.
I still have them.
Party one, get ready.
I still
Shadow,
have
okay?
demon.
Party one, get
And here, the enemy use their first engage. Now they don't successfully make a clump, since we're not positioned clumped enough for them to make a clump, and they don't go deep enough. But it's important to notice that this is just one party's engage. You can see there's only two like DPS channel bars. If there was a full engage, there would be many more. So this is just a one party engage. The only thing that should be dropped here is our dedicated defense guardian and Demon 1. We don't use anything, that's fine. We just need to understand that Demon 2 needs to hold and Demon 3 needs to be ready to use it at the right time.
3,
We use demons too early, way too early,
2, 1, just party.
and the caller just called 1 for our engage. So this is when we should actually have our demons open, and we should have our disengaged locust in the middle of the choke, and we should have our disengaged guardians in the middle of the choke. And here, the enemy hold their full engage,
Come back quick.
and this is their full engage here. So you can see more channel bars. They use everything they can to kill us in this choke.
Give me defenses on the choke. Give me
Demons
defenses
on the way back.
Yo, party 2, get ready on the choke.
Yo,
Party
I'm
2,
dead.
get
I'm
ready on
dead.
the
I'm
choke.
dead. Copy.
And
Party 2,
we
get
would
ready
have
for
no.
bomb.
had no deaths if we followed the plan. So here, another 3-second gap. So at 0:16 was when the caller said 1. This is when we should have our offensive slash disengage demons, disengage guard runes, and our disengaged locust. Okay. And then 3 seconds later, this is what it would have looked like on the choke. The choke would have been fully defended, and we would have had a huge locust, full size, cleansing everyone of the carving, the curse W, the debuffs that I said before, the realm breaker. It's going to be huge, and no one's going to die to disengage. Okay. And that's it for the rotation and the examples. If you have any questions, let me know. DM me on Discord. Thank you.